Hi there. All right, so we're just going to talk about arm movements for Aquafit in this video. So first we have what's called an elbow flexion. And so this is going to work the bicep and tricep muscle. And there's a couple of different ways that you can achieve this. So the movement to work the bicep is to bend the elbow towards the shoulder, and the movement that works the tricep is to extend the arm. So here are the movements. An elbow flexion is simply flexing and extending. So you can do this a couple of different ways. You can do it like a punch, coming forward. You can do it mid-level. You can do it low. And then you can do all of these movements in a crossing motion for variation. You can do it wide at all of those levels, and you can do it at the same time. So in unison. So that would be your elbow flexion. I just have my notes here so that I don't forget anything. Another variation of working the bicep and tricep is something we call a Tarzan arm. And I actually really like this move. I think it feels really good in the water. So it would look like this. So the movement just hinges from the elbow. So the shoulder isn't moving. It's just the elbow joint that is moving. So as you can see, you're contracting that bicep and extending the tricep. So you can do this, again, here are the variations. You can go high, so just under the surface level. You can be mid, you can be low, and you can do these at the same time. So another movement that works the bicep and tricep is, of course, the bicep curl. So this is something that you have probably run into in your time. So again, you're just bending, which is contracting the bicep, and extending, which is contracting the tricep and releasing the bicep, and vice versa. So again, you can do these at the same time. You can alternate, you can go wide, you could cross if you wanted, and you can do these kind of at the same time. One more variation is the kickback. So for this one, I don't love this one as much in the water because you're kind of moving with the buoyancy, so you're not getting a lot of resistance, but sometimes it's nice to add in. So again, you're just keeping those elbows stationary because the movement is coming from the elbow, not the shoulder. And that is your kickback. You can do them at the same time or alternating. So next we have shoulder flexions. So the shoulder flexions are going to work mostly the anterior delt here and a little bit into the posterior delt. So the movement here is contraction of the anterior delt. So it's going to look like this. So the most common move that you're probably familiar with this muscle group is the ski. So the ski arm. So here we have what it looks like. Here it is from the side. So you want to try and get equal movement forward and back, or as much as possible. And again, you can kind of do these at the same time, or you can alternate. You can do hand variations, so you'll have a fist, or you can do a paddle hand. So that's your ski arm. This would be considered to be a long lever. You can also do this with a short lever, which would be known as a jogging arm. So as you can see, that movement is very much the same. The movement is coming from the shoulder, whether it's a straight or a short lever. And yeah, so that would be your jogging arm. Next we have shoulder abduction. So this would be what you would know as a jack. So this is going to work your medial delt, which is that muscle right in here that creates that triangle. And so the function of that muscle is to raise the arm, right? So the prime mover here is the medial delt. And so of course, this is what your jack arm looks like. And so there's not a ton of variations for this. You can cross the arms in the front, you can cross them in the back, I like to pulse this one at some point within that movement under the water, but you want to just keep them under the surface of the water if possible. So that is, I think, pretty much it for the shoulder abduction or the jack arm. So next we have the shoulder girdle. So this is kind of working like the back muscles and into the chest muscles. And so first we're just going to start with the hug and squeeze. I like to do this one in the warm-up, as you know. And so this is the movement. So you're just contracting those chest muscles and then extending them and working into the back. So this is what it looks like. Again, you can kind of do this at multiple different levels. I like to do this one in the warm-up primarily because it's a short lever. So when they're cold, it kind of keeps everything close to the body. So a variation of this would be, not a variation, but another movement that works those same muscles would be a breaststroke arm, which you're probably familiar with. This is what it looks like. You can do like one arm at a time, both, and then the reverse of that would be the reverse breaststroke arm. Again, you can do one arm or you can do both. Ooh, one that I kind of forgot, back with the shoulder abduction, back to that medial delt, you can also do something called a pendulum arm. And this is what it looks like. This one goes really good with things like a pendulum leg, which is good for shallow, or a jack. But it's working those same muscles in there. I prefer a jack arm just because there's more of a full range of motion, but this movement here will also work the medial delt. And so all of these movements are in your training manual that I gave you. One last move for the arms is the rotator cuff arm. I don't really use this one very much because I don't think that it works up a sweat or does much in the way of the workout. But this is called your rotator cuff arm. And this is all you're doing, you're just rotating the arm, right? So there's not a lot of variation here. You can do maybe a flat palm, you could do a fist, or you could do a paddle hand, and you can alternate or do them together. And that's pretty much it for arm movements. I would say that, or most people would say that most arm movements can go with most leg movements. I think most instructors have favorites that they like to pair together. So that'll just kind of be something that you'll have to decide on your own what your preference is. And yeah, so stay tuned for another video on how to do the legs.